Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing good. As a part of our PostgreSQL tutorial series, this is the second lecture. As a part of a previous lecture, we learned how to install Postgres database on our Windows system. So we installed Postgres database in the last video. Now in this video, we'll try to connect the Postgres database using the pgAdmin tool, which we installed along with the Postgres database, and then create databases, create roles in this lecture. Okay, so let's start. Guys, before starting, I think you should install Notepad++. If you go in Google and search just install Notepad++, so you'll get a link. Just install this Notepad++, and which will help you to write your scripts in the Notepad editor. And you can write your scripts and you can run those scripts, save those scripts, right? So here there are, like, I have created two scripts, one for database and one for role, if you see. So here you just need to go and select in the language, just select SQL. So as soon as you select SQL, so your database keywords will be highlighted and it's very easy to write code on the Notepad++. Okay. So now let's start. Once you install Notepad++, then you just need to search pgadmin in your search box. So you will see we have pgadmin4, which is already installed. This is a client tool to connect to the Postgres database, and this is a very good development tool. So once you click on this, in the next window it will open like this pgadmin4 window. So here in the left side, you will see there's connections of servers, right? Right now we have just one server which we installed on our local host, that is the Postgres 16 server. So if you expand that, you will see the PostgreSQL 16 server is installed, right? So now it is asking a password of the super user Postgres to connect to this servers. So if you remember guys, in the last lecture when we installed the Postgres database server on our machine, then we created a password which we kept it as local. So I'll just input that password local and I'll just click on save password and just OK. So now if you'll see I'm able to log in to my server, PostgreSQL 16 server, and I can see we have three entities inside this server. First one is database, second one is login group roles, and third one is table spaces, right? These are the options available we have. So we can, from the first option database, we can create new databases on these servers. Second option is for creating, roles and the user login groups, right? And third option is to create table spaces on this server, so which will store our data, whatever no data we will create, so that will be stored in our table space. So table space is logical view of the data. Okay. You can see in the big window, so there is a dashboard, right? So under there are multiple windows open here, right? So inside the dashboard, you can see server sessions. So this will tell you about all the server sessions which are open with this no server, transactions per seconds, tuples in, tuples out, and block IO. So this is reads and hits, right? So these are the stats you can read as an admin. Then you have properties. So if you see, this is the server properties. So name is PostgreSQL 16, right? Version is 16.4, and then we have connection string available here. So see, this is the connection string you will give any other person so that they can connect to this server. So suppose this is a production server, right? So you'll have to give this connection string to the other person so that they can connect to this server and they can connect to the database. So host is local host. In your case, it will be the IP of the server on which your server database server will be installed. Then port, default port is 5432, right? So database name is Postgres. So by default, there's one database created in our database section. So if you expand that, you will see there is a database created which is Postgres. So this is super users database. So by default, one database is created, right? So in the properties, so let's go back in the properties. So database name is Postgres, username is also Postgres, that is super user, then there's a password, right? So these are the connection string. And yeah, next is the SQL box where you can see any SQL. If you click on any of the entity here on the left box, so it will show the SQL, the create SQL script, no, corresponding to that entity. So suppose I click on this Postgres, so I can see there's a create database statement is showing up in the SQL box. Then we have stats. So here we can see all the stats are related to this server. Then we have dependencies, dependents, and processes. Okay, so these are the some of the windows which are used by admin to monitor on this database and monitor on this server, monitor on the servers and their logs, right? Stats and all. Okay. So anyway, now from the developer perspective, we have one database already created, which is the Postgres database, right? So if you see the structure of the database, so we have a Postgres database, right? Inside that we have schemas. Right. So if you expand that schema, right, so already a public schema would be by default created inside any database, right? So, and inside schema, you will have all the objects which you want to create. Like you can create functions, you can create materialized view, you can create sequences, you can create procedure, you can create tables, triggers, types, views, etc. Right? So you can create all these things inside a database, right? So since Postgres is a default database, right? So now we are going to create one database, right, for us, and then we'll configure that database, and we'll also create users and roles. Okay, so if you expand the default roles, so these are the 15 default roles which comes along with the installation. So Postgres user is the super user. So if you click on Postgres and just click on SQL, so you will see there is a role called Postgres is already created. So in Postgres, we call users also as a role, and there is a role group role. So that also we call it as a role only. Okay, so only there is a difference between the icon. So if you see this icon, it's a just single person is showing on this. So this is a user, and while here we're showing multiple persons and the red one. So this one shows, this symbol shows that this is a role. Okay, so this one is a role and this one is a user. By default, they call no both role and the user as roles in the Postgres. Okay. Anyway, so we are going to create one database and we are going to create roles and configure those roles with the newly created database. And let's expand table space. So by default, you have already have two table space created, pg default and pg global, right? So whenever you create any objects, right, database or tables or any object, so you mention table space, right? So generally we'll use pg default. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a database. So for creating database, you'll just click on this database icon and create and then database. Okay, so we will create database. I'll show you using the graphical user interface of pgAdmin as well as using the scripts, right? So you can just click on create database. Okay, so a new pop-up window will open. Okay, so here we'll have to fill all the information which we need for to create the database, right? So so database name. So my database name is human resource. Let's resource, right? So this is the database I want to create, right? Human underscore resource, and then OID I don't need to give. Owner will be Postgres only, the super user. Okay, then I can give comment, right, that this is a human resource database, right? And then I can just go ahead into the next section. So next section is definition. So in the definition in coding, I'll keep UTF-8 template. I can select a template. So by default, two templates comes along with the installation, template 0 or template 1, right? So you can select template or it's not necessary to select. Okay. Then table space, always select PG default, which is coming in the option. Okay, and then connection unit will be -1. That means unlimited, unlimited connections. Template, is it the template database? No, it's a new database which we are creating as not a template database, so we will not will not enable this box. We'll keep disabling, we'll keep it disabled. Then in security, we'll not do anything right now. Okay, so in parameter, we'll not do anything. In advanced, also we don't need to do anything. In SQL, see now our create database script is generated. So you can see create database human resource with owner as Postgres, including its UTF. Local provider will be LIBC table space PG default connection limit is -1. Is template? No, it's not template. Okay, and this is a comment on the database. And I'll just click on save and it will create a database for me. Okay. So I'll just right now I'll close it and I'll show you how I'll create database using the script. So I've already prepared the scripts for this. Okay, so just to show you how I generated those scripts, so I'm showing you how from the graphical user interface how we can generate scripts. Okay, so I'll just close this box. So yeah, now let's go ahead and create a database. So to create database, you'll just have to connect to this database, right? So I'll just expand the database section, and I already have a Postgres database which is installed. So I'll make a connection to this Postgres database. You can just select Postgres database, right click and select on query tool. So this will open a new window. So here you can see I am connected to the Postgres database, right? So this is the second one is the database. First one is the username. So I'm connecting from Postgres super user and connecting to the Postgres database and at the rate, and this is the server name, our server on which our database is installed, our database is created. Okay. So first one is the user, second one is the database, third one is the server name, right? So now I have logged in using the Postgres super user. Now I can create a new database, right? So I have a create script. So this is my create script for the human resource. So I'll just copy it from here and I'll just paste it out here for you, right? So my database name is human resource, right? And this is this is a drop statement. If we need to drop it sometime, so we can use this drop if access statement. So this is my create database script. So I'll just run it. So just to run the create script, you just select that and just click on this run window, or you can press F5. Now I'll press F5 or click on this execute button. See, my query returned successfully and my database is created. I will also run this comment statement to create a database. So so it will create a comment on my database. So I'll just run this. Okay. So now my database is created. To see that database, we'll have to just refresh, click on this database icon and click on refresh. So see, my human resource database is created, right? And yeah, I can connect this human resource database using my Postgres super user. So if you'll just click on expand, so see, you are able to connect to this human resource database. And if I'll open a query tool from this human resource database, so you can see I'm connected to the human resource database, okay, using PostgreSQL user, and this is my no server name. So first one is the database name, second one is the username, and third one is the server name. S- Okay, so now database is created. So I'll just close this windows for now. Okay, so I'll just delete, just clean this window. So now I'm in PostgreSQL database in Post using PostgreSQL user onto the PostgreSQL server. Now I want to create some roles. Okay. So to create roles, this is the PostgreSQL role. Already we have seen. So there is one role created on the by default. It's already created, right? So this is my script to create a read write role. So basically, we'll create two types of role. One role which can, create database, right? Which which can, which can create, read, insert, update, right? This kind of privilege that role will have, and there is will be one another role which will be used by UI developer. So that role will be only for select, right? So they will not be able to insert, update, or delete, or do any kind of execute options, except execute procedures, functions. Okay, so we'll create two roles. So I'll just first is the admin or read write role I'm going to create. So this is the script, and I'll just paste it out here. Okay, so before running this script, I will also show you how from the graphical user interface you can create roles. So you'll just need to expand this login group roles, and just if you'll create on this, so there will be create option and you'll click on login group role. Right. So here I'll give my role name as HR ADM group. Right. And then I'll go in definition. So since this is a role, so I'll not be giving I'm not going to log in from this role, right? So I'll not give any password right here. And here are the privileges which this role can have. So I don't want to log in from this, so I'll not enable this can login. I'll just enable inherit rights from the parent role. And this is not a super user. It should not be able to create role. It should not be able to create database, right? And it should not initiate a replication. It should not bypass RLS, right? So it will have just only one privileges which it can inherit from the parent roles, right? Then we can go to membership. So I'll not add any members right now. I'll go in parameters, security, and SQL. So see, in the SQL window, my group admin group role is generated, which is similar to my script, right? So we can create this role, right? So I'll just close this window, or I can just go back and I can edit it to show you, how I'll create the user. So suppose I have HR admin user role. It's not a group role, so it's a user role. So it will be used to log in to this database, right? So for this, you have to go in definition and you have to mention a password. So I'll mention password, and yeah, I think rest everything would be same. Only can login will be enabled because I have to log in from this user or role. And membership, I'll not do anything. Parameter, no. Security, no. In SQL, see, my script is ready, which is similar, right? So only in password, I'm giving it as local, which is hidden here in the script. So as soon as I'll click save, so my admin user will be created. So I'll just close this right now. Okay, yes. And then I'm going to create this roles for you from the script. So see, my ADM group role is created. Then my user HR ADM is created, right? And now I'm granting my role to this user. So why we are doing this? Why we are doing giving grant? Because any change or any access change I want to do with my user HR ADM, so I'll just go ahead and change the give grants to HR ADM group, and that will be by default given to HR ADM. So it will be um, it will be applied to HR ADM as well, right? So I'll just click on grant HR ADM group to HR ADM user. So okay, I've already given grant. So okay, now now our role is created, right? So this is a read write role. This is a admin kind of role, right? So it will have all the access to the database, human resource, right? It can do everything on human resource database, right? So I'll just give grant all on this database human resource to this HR ATM group. Grant is given, right? So now the role is created and database grant is given, right? So I'll first show you the roles. So to see the roles, you have to refresh this. So see, your ADM group is role is created. Your ADM user is created, which can log in using this password, right? And there's a grant also. So this group is granted to this user, right? So you have user, you have group, both are created, right? Now let's go back and check the database properties. So in database properties, you have to go to security tab. Yeah. So in security tab, you can see there is a public user, which is a by default user already there. Okay. And these are the two. This is the group roles which we created, HR ADM group role, right? And it has privilege to connect, create temporary and connect all the accesses it have. That means whatever user which has this group role that can connect to this database, that can create any object on this database, right? That can do everything with this database, right? So we are going to give this user ADM HR ADM to our developers, our database developer, right? Who can create databases, who can create objects inside databases like functions, triggers, packages, etc. Okay. Now we are going to create one more similar role and user. right? But that will just for the read purposes. Okay, that role will be used by the UI developers to connect to this database, right, and do select and call procedures and functions, etc., right? So this is my read only role. So I'll just select and paste it out here. So this role is only for read only role, right? So there is no change in creating group. So I can just create this RO is read only prefix, HR RO is read only prefix, read only group, right? So I'm going to create this role. Then I'm going to create a user HR read only, which is created. Then I'm going to grant HRRO group to HRRO user. Okay, and see, I'm giving grant temporary connect. No create grant is given, right, to this HRRO group, right? That means this RO user cannot create anything on this human resource database, and that is the objective for the UI developers, that they do not create anything on the database, right? So I'll just give the grant. Okay, so again, let's go back and check our roles first, right? So just click on that and refresh. So see, we have 19 roles now. HRRO is created, right? And HRRO group is also created, right? So HRR read only user and read only group both are created. Now I'll just again check the properties of my database. So I'll just click on human resource properties and I'll go in security. So you can see HR ADM group has all privilege, all create temporary connect, while HR read only group that has only temporary and connect privilege, right? It cannot create any objects on this database, right? Next, we'll show in the same database window, there's a default privilege window, right? So here you can give grants based on table, sequence, functions, and types, right? So suppose that read-only user can connect to the database, right? But they should be able to select the tables. To do that, you have to give grant select, right, on tables to that read-only user, and grant insert, update, delete on tables for that read-write user or admin user, right? So to do that, either you can do from here itself. So you will just click on plus sign on the tables, right? And grantee you can select like ADM group. This is the read write group, and what it should have privilege, it should have all the privilege. It should be able to insert, select, update, delete, truncate, reference, trigger. It should be able to everything for the development purpose, right? And grantor will be obviously a super user Postgres, right? Again, you can add one more grant, which is for the RO group, read only group, and what it can do, it should be able to only select operations on the table. So just read, right? And grantor will be Postgres. So as soon as you do this and you go in your SQL window, you will see that your no, scripts is getting generated to do those things. So the script is alter default privilege for role Postgres, grant all on tables to HRADM group, right? It's all on tables, right, for this read write group, and select on tables to RO group, right? So we are basically no, altering the privilege inside the Postgres user, right? So for giving no particular grants to these roles, right? So similarly, in the default privilege window, you can do for sequence, you can do for functions, you can do for types also, right? So I've already created those scripts. So I'll just click close and yes, and I'll just go here and then I have table grant script, I have function grant script. So I'll just copy both table grant and function grant, and I am going to just paste it here, and I'm going to give the grant. So this is the table grant. I'll run, and it ran successfully. Then uh, alter default privilege for role Postgres, for grant select on RO group. Then this is the function grant. So in case of function, it should be able to execute, right? So grant default privilege both should be able to execute, right? So you can write grant execute, right? And for RO also grant execute, right? So now I can again go back, and just to verify, I can again check properties. I can go to the default privileges. Okay, so I'll need to refresh that, I guess. And then again go back to properties, default privileges, tables, security. Okay, I think we have to run grant all on tables. So since we have to give grant on tables and grant on functions, so we have to connect. So this is given on the Postgres database, right? We have to connect to this human resource database and then give this grants, right? So since we have to give grant for tables and functions for human resource database, earlier what we did is give grants for this Postgres database, right? So we'll just connect to this Postgres database, human resource database, and now I'm going to run this grants. So grant, okay. So all the grants I'll run. Okay. Now I'll go back and I'll just refresh it and go back and check properties of human resource default privileges. Let's see, for tables your ADM group is no grant given, and for your RO group also read grant is given, right? Similarly for functions also you can see grants for ADM and RO group, right? So your grants are also given. So now I think you learned a lot of things, right? So let's summarize. So you created database, right? You created one database. You created roles, read write roles, and you created users, read write users, right? You given grants from the database to this user and roles. Okay, you given grant on the objects like tables, functions to this user, this roles and users, right? Okay. Now last thing we can do is we can select version and just check some queries here on our human resource database, right? So see, version it is showing 16.4, right? We can also check, select current date. See, it is showing current date, right? So we can run this query, right? So right now I'm connected to this human resource database using Postgres user, but I should be able to connect by my new user which I just now created. So I'll just click on human resource and I'll just disconnect from the database, yes. And while connection database, or I can just click on the this database, go into properties, and in definition, So owner is Postgres database, right? Definition, security, parameter, default privilege, advanced, and SQL. Okay. So to connect to this database, here you can see I have connected to this human resource database using Postgres user, right? So now to connect to this human resource database using our newly created user, so you will just expand this drop down, click on new connection. You have server, you have database name is human resource database, user, you can select your user, HR ADM, right? This is a read write role, developer role user, and just click save. Just click on yes. See, you are able to connect to this database using your newly created user, HR admin, and you can do all the development operations. Okay. So that's it from this tutorial, guys. In the next tutorial, we will learn about psql, a command line utility tool, right? So pgAdmin we have covered, and now it's time to learn some command line utility, tool and commands for the Postgres. Thank you, guys. So if you like this video, please subscribe my channel, and yeah, thank you.